She ran away? If I'm gonna find her, I'll need some help. Amphibian help.
Looking for someone, ma'am?
I was hoping you could help with that.
So, who are we looking for?
Today we are going to create a world in OpenArt, and this gives us the ability to create a consistent location for our characters to be in. The quick overview for today is that we're going to create a world, we're going to place our characters in that world, then we'll create a storyboard from those images, and then bring all of these references together to generate the video that you just saw.
This tutorial is sponsored by OpenArt.
We are going to use the world feature to cast our character in a scene, but in order to do that, we need to create a world. If you've got an image already, you can upload it and it will turn that image into a world. I'll go into my image history. You may recognize this room from a movie I did in OpenArt called Calamity. Now I'm just going to create a 3D world from this image, and it's going to take about 5 minutes. Now we are in the room. Here are the controls for navigating. If you've done PC games, that's very similar to that. We can also click and drag to spin around in the room. If we like this high angle, we could take a shot that way, and we could add a character to the scene here. So we can put her in the scene. All right, so I put a quick prompt in there. If I wanted to change my focal length, I could. I'm just going to leave it at the default for now, and then we'll take a shot. So it puts it over there. It's queued and generating. When we look at this one, the sizing is completely off. I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm not going to be using these for image to video. And then we can change the focal length of the lens. This lighter part is what will be used to take the image, and then the darker gray lets us see what's just outside that frame. And then here's that lower angle one. Now in one of these she has a short sleeve shirt, and the other one she has a long sleeve shirt. So in this prompt I'm going to include a description of what she's wearing. I'm just going to try and get her outfit to be consistent for these shots. This isn't a shot I would ordinarily do, but I want to see how this turns out when we do this overhead bird's eye view type of shot. I want to make sure it places her correctly in the frame. So let's try this one. I'm going to keep the prompt exactly the same there too. So there are some discrepancies between this shot and this shot. If I were using these as start and end frames, I wouldn't really want that. Since I'm using these as Omni references, I'm not as worried about that. The other way to create a world is to just describe it. So I'm going to do one with a text prompt. I'm going to do a simple prompt and then get a preview of this for only 50 credits instead of 500. Before I commit to this one, I want to make sure that I'm getting something that looks the way I want. So let me start with the preview. Here's our preview panorama. Kind of looks like an impressionist painting, like a Monet or something. We can see the corner here, so let's drag over this way. There's some chairs there. Got a little entry into this area. It's got the reflection of the tree with the Spanish moss there. So I do like this one, but I don't love it. So let me just see if I can do one more. I took the idea that I had, which was the prompt I used last time, and asked an AI assistant to improve it. Here's the prompt that it gave me. Let's see if this does any better. All right, here's our new swamp. This does look a little more swampy, which I like. And this does look a lot better. And this is a strange way to dock your boat, but we'll go with it for now. I also like this dock here. I wonder if it's a duffel bag. I don't know what that is. First, I described this in a prompt, and then I have this panorama that I can look around by just clicking and dragging. And the next step will be to create this 3D world. We'll be able to zoom in and out and get different angles and different focal length lenses. So I'm going to create the 3D world for this one. Let's see how this world turned out. So we have our bayou shack here. I want to have a shot of her standing down here and the other character up here. Just to make sure, I'm going to get this boat out of the way. So I'm going to be creative. I guess I like this. That was a rope, not a duffel bag. That makes sense. And then I'm going to add the characters to the scene. So I'll add Cleo and Frogman. We'll just have the frogman sitting in a white chair on the porch near the red door. I'm trying to give it as much direction as I can. And then Cleo is at the base of the dock near the center of the frame. And then she's looking up toward frogman. Now I changed the angle to the top of the porch, so we're going to be looking at her from the frog's perspective. I'm going to update the prompt here. I've got her standing at the base of the dock near the coiled rope, looking up while facing forward. So hopefully she'll be looking this way. In the foreground, the back of the head of the frogman is visible out of focus. Let's do the reverse angle. So I'm going to turn the camera around here. And then we'll zoom out. We moved the camera. Now let's update the prompt to make sure that we're seeing it from her perspective. So we'll just have him at the top of the stairs looking down and forward, and then we'll have the back of Cleo's head visible out of focus from depth of field like a coverage shot. Oh, I'm missing in the foreground. Hold on. In the foreground, the back of her head is there. All right, so let's take a shot here. The shot looks great, except for the fact that they're in the wrong positions. I'm going to update the prompt to have the back of her head on the right side of the frame. Hopefully that will clarify any ambiguity about who is where. I want to try and get one shot of the frogman sitting in the chair on the porch, one leg crossed over the other. Maybe we use this a little bit earlier. We have him on the porch, but he's looking the wrong direction. It's a reminder that we have to be a little more specific. So let's update the prompt to make sure that he's sitting here with his back against the wall, looking out over the bayou. All right, this is much better. So let's go with this one. And remember, I'm using these as references, not as image to video. Now let's go make some videos. I'm going to start with Kling 3 Omni and use text with reference. I've added my images from the first world we created and Cleo's character reference. I'll start with a high angle shot and move to a low angle shot.
She ran away? If I'm gonna find her, I'll need some help. Amphibian help.
Now I'm going to try the next scene and use Kling's multi-shot. So I'll choose different images we created in our 3D world, then reference those with the @ sign in each shot.
Looking for someone, ma'am?
I was hoping you could help with that.
Now for Seedance 2, I'm going to create a storyboard to use as a reference. I'll just go into Nano Banana Pro and tell it which images to turn into a storyboard. In Seedance, I can write out the timestamps for how the scene plays out. This gives me a lot more control. Seedance is great because we can combine this storyboard with timestamped prompts.
Looking for someone, ma'am?
I was hoping you could help with that.
I've mostly got what I need, but I want the frogman diving into the water and swimming over to the dock. I can grab the last frame from this video and use it as one of my references. And I can also grab this frame of Cleo on the dock with her back to us. Ideally, he's going to dive in the water, and then we'll have some underwater footage of him swimming.
So, who are we looking for?
I already have him coming up. I just need about 4 seconds here, so I'm going to save some credits that way by just generating the part of the video that I need. So I hope this was helpful to see how you can create a world in OpenArt and then place your characters in that world and then use those images as references for generating video. What I really like about using a world to set up the reference shots, it gives you that consistent location, that consistent scene. There's a link in the description to OpenArt. Thank you for watching. And as always, things don't work out exactly as we plan each time. So here are some fun outtakes.
Amphibian help.